We begin with meteorologist Jeff Smith. He's in for Lee Goldberg and is now tracking this monster storm.
Yeah, we just got that brand new advisory, Sade, from the National Hurricane Center. No change in the current intensity, but a couple of changes in the forecast. One of them being a little bit farther south and east than what we were showing earlier. So that trend continues toward the Fort Myers area versus Tampa Bay. And also a much more concerning trend. This may be peaking out in intensity right at landfall, and it may be a Category 4 by the time it makes landfall later on tomorrow on the southwest Florida coast. Right now, it's about 100 miles from Key West, which has already had wind gusts over 50 miles per hour. Right now, right around the core of the storm, the eye wall, we have 120 mile per hour sustained winds. It's moving north very slowly, only about 10 miles per hour. If anything, that forward speed will continue to slow down during the next 24 to 36 hours, prolonging the battering that the west coast of Florida will take from this storm. Look at the radar right here. It's really impressive. This is the eye wall. The storm, again, had a 53 mile per hour wind gust at Key West, about 100 miles from the center. Here's the slight change, and it's a big change, though, for Tampa Bay, because this will basically mean Tampa Bay doesn't get the very worst case scenario, the very worst of the storm surge, but still a 4 to 7 foot surge there, even with a landfall off to the south. Right now, the National Hurricane Center targeting, say, between Sarasota and Fort Myers for a landfall. Here's the concerning trend. Category 4, Category 4. 2 p.m. Wednesday, 130 mile per hour sustained winds. It does weaken after it moves inland, but by then, too little, too late. This is going to cause a tremendous amount of damage. We're looking at an 8 to 12 foot storm surge, Sarasota down to the Fort Myers area. This is a life-threatening situation along the southwest coast of Florida. Conditions deteriorating tonight along the Florida Gulf Coast. We'll have tropical storm force winds commencing in that area. Hurricane force winds starting tomorrow morning and continuing right into early Thursday, and that life-threatening storm surge from Tampa Bay all the way down to Fort Myers. And eventually the storm kind of curves back to the left and might give us some rainfall by later on in the weekend. We'll detail that in your AccuWeather 7-day forecast coming up, guys.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And as we heard from Jeff, this is a life-threatening storm. The rain has already started in the Florida Keys, and as Ian gets ready to deliver a punishing blow as it now heads north, the director of the National Hurricane Center telling residents, you've got today to get out and make your final preparations. Sonia Rincon in the newsroom with how folks there are getting ready. Sonia?
Sade, you've seen that trajectory, the Tampa area followed by the Orlando area getting hit. At this hour, the last flights are departing from Tampa International Airport before it closes. Orlando International Airport will halt flights tomorrow morning, with Ian expected to slam Florida's Gulf Coast and bring a dangerous storm surge. 2.5 million people in Florida are under evacuation orders.
Your safety is more important than anything. And I know our hearts are with everyone who will feel the effects of this storm, and we'll be with you every step of the way.
President Biden this afternoon said he immediately granted the Florida governor's request for federal emergency assistance as people in Ian's projected path prepare. He and Governor DeSantis urging everyone under evacuation orders to take them seriously.
When you have 5 to 10 feet of storm surge, that is not something that you want to be a part of.
There are long lines for sandbags in the Tampa area. Residents trying to fill up as many as they can get to protect their homes from that surge. Some have even headed to beaches to fill their own.
As many of you know, this is going to be potentially the worst case scenario for the Tampa Bay area.
Ian could be the first major hurricane to make a direct hit there in more than a century. Homeowners are getting to higher ground, boarding up and filling up.
Just topping off some gas for generators. Hopefully don't have to use them. Just getting prepared.
Ian made landfall early this morning in western Cuba as a Category 3 hurricane with 125 mile per hour wind, ripping down power lines in Havana, littering desolate streets with debris. And more than 5,000 members of Florida's National Guard have been activated. Some hospitals and nursing homes in the Tampa Bay area have moved residents and patients, and school is likely to be canceled for the rest of the week. Many schools are going to be used for emergency shelters.
All right, Sonia Rincon in our newsroom with the latest on Ian. In Florida, for us to cover this hurricane, Eyewitness News anchor Joe Torres. He has been in Puerto Rico, as you know, covering the devastation there and the huge push to clean up, paid for by the U.S., by the way, with the help of many New Yorkers, of course. Joe now traveling to Tampa and just landing late this afternoon in Orlando.
Hello, Bill and Sade. We flew into Orlando's airport because operations at Tampa's airport have stopped. And despite being about 90 miles away from the Gulf Coast here in the Orlando area, there already are tropical storm warnings in place, and those warnings extend all the way north up to Jacksonville, Florida. Today, the mayor here in Orlando ordered the closure of non-essential city offices through Friday. Now, before we head west to the hurricane zone, we are hoping to stock up on supplies here in the Orlando area. The reason for that, we're told most stores in Tampa and the surrounding area there are closed. And if the stores are opened, the shelves there are empty. Once we have the necessary supplies, we will head west towards Tampa. The hope, the plan, is to be with you live on Eyewitness News at 11 o'clock tonight.